Hello and good morning, Periscope. My name is Courtney Smith. I'm here to talk to you about plot holes and avoiding them. Avoiding plot holes is extremely important for writing any particular story. And for those of you who may not know what a plot is a summary of events that actually briefly summarizes everything that occurs within the story or a brief summarization of a story. And so we have that in mind. And so you may wonder, what is a plot hole? A plot hole is an event or any form of inconsistency that occurs within the story that allows continuity to be disrupted or prevented. It actually creates a great deal of dissonance within the story. So you do not want to have plot holes in the story. And we're going to talk about a couple of ways to avoid plot holes. Now, the very first way to avoid a plot hole is to actually have a working outline that's well organized. Organizing a well working outline will actually prevent plot holes from occurring. So you can actually organize the events and actually examine all the sequences of everything that occurs from the beginning of the story to the very end. And by doing that, that actually prevents many plot holes from taking place. That's the first step to avoiding plot holes. The second thing you want to do is actually utilize content editing. And so what exactly is content editing? Content editing is a form of editing that actually evaluates a manuscript and look at all of the logical sequences and the various patterns of it to ensure that it's actually restricted to the confines of the logic within the story. There are certain exceptions, such as fiction, but even at the rate of having different forms of logical sequences and things that may be slightly impossible, having content editing will allow those things to be evaluated in a manner that will prevent different forms of incoherence and inconsistencies from occurring within it. So that will actually help a lot. And finally, for major plot holes to actually be prevented, it is necessary to review and know one's characters. Don't have different things and characteristics that may actually seem out of line or out of character for the particular person or thing in the story that may actually be one way. Now, there are exceptions. If a character makes a change and there's a good explanation included for that change as to why this change occurs, then that's different. That's not a plot hole. That's just the use of a dynamic or round character. Nevertheless, in order for changes like that to occur, there must be sound explanations yielded. Without it, then your characters will become running plot holes. So always know your characters, review them, and make sure that they don't do anything that seems out of the ordinary or unusual in order to prevent plot holes from occurring. So let's recapitulate everything we discussed. The very first thing that we discussed in regards to avoiding plot holes is carefully organizing your outline. Making sure you have an organized sequence of events that will flow from one event to the next without too much dissonance or incoherence will actually help prevent plot holes. And the second thing to do in regards to avoiding plot holes is to actually utilize content editing. Utilizing content editing will allow plot holes from being prevented. You can actually go through the manuscript, examine it very carefully, and make sure that it's restricted to the confines of the use of logic or the use of certain principles within the script without disrupting it. Or if there is a disruption, make sure that it is thoroughly explained. Otherwise, it'll be nothing more than a plot hole. And you don't want that in your story. And finally, reviewing your characters' roles. Know your characters and make sure they do not do anything that's, well, uncharacteristic for how they've been established in the story earlier, unless, again, an explanation is provided for that change. And as I stated earlier, there are characters in stories who become dynamic or round as certain forms of conventional literature will actually describe them. And for dynamic and round characters, there is usually an explanation as to why this change or this transition has occurred. And that's not a plot hole as long as there's a thorough explanation provided. However, if there's no explanation given for any reason that they make a change or transition, then you have nothing more than a running plot hole. So, For all of those things, that's how you prevent a majority of most plot holes from occurring within the story. And for more information in regards to how you can avoid plot holes or in general write coherent stories that will allow your audience to follow them through more smoothly and with greater enjoyment, go to www.spiritscribepublishing.com. That's www.spiritscribepublishing.com. And you will find a wealth and a plethora of information that will prevent plot holes from occurring within your story. Also, a wealth of information that will prevent various other forms of incoherence and inconsistencies and incongruencies from occurring. That's www.spiritscribepublishing.com under Blogs of the Scribe, which will be abbreviated BOTS. All right, thank you very much for your time, and you may resume your life as you previously knew it. Have a good day.